Good evening and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker Hagan, and I have my co-host, Dr. J.R. Thicklin.
Well, good evening to you and the audience. What a beautiful, beautiful April Tuesday. And we're excited about things because spring is in full swing.
Yes, it is. We have a show tonight called Reimagine, how to shift mentally and financially post-pandemic. So many people were able to create businesses throughout the pandemic, and there's so many job opportunities out there now because of the people that have become independent and entrepreneurs.
It shows you how life itself is a rotating circle because for many, it was the adversity that we faced during the pandemic. It was necessity that was the mother inventions. People have stepped out, become entrepreneurs because what they were doing was not working for them or it ran to a dead end. But they've come up with things, and that's what we're faced to do all over. The new thing that we're seeing with cities, municipalities, inside of the corporate world and everything is reimagined. In other words, we're not trying to get back to where we were, but we're trying to reimagine a better way, a better life, a better method, a better strategy. And that requires having the right tools to do so. And it's nothing like, being able to dialogue with people who are doing it, who have done it, and who understands that the blueprint is still being made. And then, so this is a great time to now to allow your mind to be willing to go where it has not gone before.
Interesting. And we have a guest to help us transition into that. You want to introduce our guest for tonight?
Absolutely. Well, we have the pleasure of having with us tonight Dr. Aleshia Jordan. Dr. Jordan is a mastermind, if you would, in terms of strategies and understanding business strategies, understanding, if you would, the Lean Six Sigma building blocks to successful businesses. She is she's a COO and as well as a CEO of not only Virtuosity LLC, but also the Blockchain Network. Her work has been incredible because of the fact she's creating an army of people that she's helping to train so that they can have a mindset to have the tools to move forward. So we are very glad to have her. She's fairly new to South Florida, Dr. Aleshia Jordan. Good evening.
Hi,
Good
thank
evening. Welcome to
you.
Hot Topics from the Soul.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk.
Absolutely.
So,
So
where are
we
you from? Dr. J said you're new to South Florida. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Missouri, St. Louis in the house. But now I'm
Didn't
in
hear
West Palm
you.
Beach, Florida.
Didn't hear
I'm
you.
in St. Louis, Missouri. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yes,
Okay.
you just bleeped
I'm
out a little bit.
from St. Louis. Okay. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I've been living in Florida now for about 2.5 years in West Palm Beach, Florida. Represent St. Louis, specifically in the Ferguson area. If you can't remember where the whole Mike Brown, everything that took place, that's where I'm from.
Okay.
Born and raised.
So I imagine you've had to do some reimagining, just the fact of recovering from so many things that hit us. And that's what life is about. We take hits. We all take hits in one way or another in life. Life has never been a straight line. Oftentimes, life is a path that is sometimes it's crooked, it's up and down, there's sharp lefts and sharp rights. But those that manage to survive it and not just survive, but succeed, have to find themselves, if you would, reimagining life, readopting principles and strategies, and not necessarily becoming a product of what happened to them, but rather than that, really building a new platform. And a word that Dr. Val loves using is reinventing yourself. And in what way would you speak to that in terms of where we are now and some of the things that we must do in reimagining?
That's a very, very good question. And this is exactly where we are now. That is exactly where we are now as a people. I think our country as a whole, the world as a whole, has been transformed. You know, my favorite scripture in the world is "Be ye transformed," right, by the
Yes,
renewing of your mind.
absolutely.
And I think that is exactly where we are. and knowing still that with God, all things are possible. And so one of the things during the pandemic and all the loss of life that, myself and so many others have been impacted by, I think it's time for a refresh. We've been charged to kind of look at life and assess what has happened and understand that what was before will never be again. It's the past.
Yeah.
And it's time to move forward. So a reimagine period more than a new normal. There is no normal. There is no normal even today. And I think I honestly feel that it is time to really understand and activate faith in so many areas of our life. I was thinking before this podcast, I said, if you were 60s babies like myself, or 70s or 80s, we could never imagine a cell phone, right?
Right.
I never thought I'd be FaceTiming anybody on the phone because I was standing in line at Howard University trying to wait on the payphone, right? Or going to the corner. And our world has evolved because everything has started with a thought. Think about it. Somebody sat there and said, just think if we can talk on the phone. And at that time, it seemed supernatural. It seemed beyond belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where it started, is believing in the unseen, which is equivalent to faith, right? What? So if you activate your faith at this point in time in your life and really sit down and make those things that may seem unbelievable, that may seem supernatural, and honestly believe it and accept it with your heart and activate and make it work. So I'm working with a team of people. I love the team that we have. It's a group of ladies, social change agents, a part of Blockchain Network, which I'm so excited to talk about. But we're trained Lean Six Sigma belts. I'm a master black belt. I've been doing Lean Six Sigma for years, 20 years or so. But I've trained this group really to get to the point where we can activate and really think a lot, work with different companies, especially entrepreneurs, to really think different about how they look at business and to refresh and reimagine and activate their vision and creativity about making things happen in their life and in their business. I really do believe that now it is time to do that. So we work with organizations and we're going to be deployed really quickly with faith-based initiatives as well as not-for-profit organizations all over the world. So you got to keep in mind, I started Virtuosity because it's like God gave me this epiphany that one day we would all be virtual. I had no idea it would be because of a pandemic, right? But I started Virtuosity with the concept that we could reach masses globally. And that's where we are now. And so working with the social change agents, which we're all trained and certified to use tools and technologies that have worked in many corporations for years within our own personal life and within our own, companies. And so we're working to deploy different faith-based initiatives and not-for-profits to accept the cryptocurrency, which is something new, right? Think about the opportunity to control just by collaborating, believing, investing, and working your own value of your exchange.
Right.
That is so powerful. So if we can get companies to invest, knowing that 10% of all proceeds go towards working with the not-for-profit, the social change agents, in deploying and facilitating and leading change, helping them, training them. And so let me tell you a little bit about the tools, right? So we look at assessing where an organization is. We look at the community needs. We look at what are the inputs, the outputs, who's profiting off the output. And you will be surprised how the folks that are profiting off the outputs control the inputs.
Wow.
And I mean that in process, and I mean that in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a power group.
Hold on 1 second, because I think that is so powerful that the folks that are profiting off the output have their hand in the input.
Absolutely. Our group of social, yeah, we that's exactly what I said. And we're trained up. We call this a tool called SIPOC. I'll be happy to share some tools on your show too, because I've been, like I said, I'm very passionate about these tools and the technology. And our social change agent group, Chantel, I'm gonna give a shout out, Chantel, Kayla, Tanea, Tiffany, and Rhonda. We sat in a room, and Stephanie, a few other people too. We sat in a room and we studied the community. We pulled data. See, Lean Six Sigma is a data-driven methodology. So we pulled data and we talked about the issues in our community. We talked about with data what the outputs was, right? And then we actually sat there and brainstormed and said, okay, so who's benefiting? Who's the customer? Who's the customer? Right? Prison system, pharmaceutical, right? You get to listen to all the customers, and then you kind of understand when you start to look at who's providing the inputs, how it's all connected. So with Lean Six Sigma, we want to work with organizations to look at the inputs within their companies, right? The inputs within the community, and use data so that we can predict better outcomes. It's used against us. Let's use it for us.
Okay,
Does that make
so your company will help entrepreneurs get the data they need for their companies to flourish.
Absolutely. What we do is we train and we certify on a problem-solving methodology. So if you come to me with a problem, we'll sit down with you, social change agents. We're going to be charged to do the blockchain network, specifically working with not-for-profits, right? We're going to be working with you, and we're going to show you tools. And we facilitate with the people that do the work at your organization to come up with outcomes, right? Predict outcomes that's going to allow you to be successful. But we need to work with the people to do the work. So we call ourselves facilitators of change. That's the difference between a social change agent and a consultant. We don't come in and tell you what to do. We believe the people that's doing the work every day have all the great ideas. They're the smart folks. We just have the tools to help you do it. We're just agents of change.
And so let me understand this, because this is powerful in this sense here. We talked about predictability, predicting outcomes. Now, something that you said that is so important, we've had this conversation once, that so often when we read the news, we see things, we hear words like disproportionately affect, disproportionate this, and minorities are this. And what people don't understand, all that is really data driven. They're able to say, well, this disproportionately affects this group. It's totally data. And so this is what happened. The same people who are reporting that we're disproportionately affected are the same ones who on the other end is put themselves in a position to benefit off of the very thing that is impacting us. And if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying with the right tools and methodology, we reverse that and we take control of our own fate, looking at the same thing that is affecting us, but we become our own problem solvers, and we're able to profit from that because the fact we're able to lift not only ourselves, but the community if we get enough people to recognize how important this is.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Dr. Dicklin, this is a completely new way of thinking, right? We're so used to traditional way of problem solving, right? But with Lean Six Sigma, we believe that you talk to the community in which you're trying to serve, and you see what the needs are. And, we have this, this tool where you sit in a chair. Let's say I went to school, right? Let's say I went to the community school, and I'm surrounded by the gang member. I'm just throwing it out there, right? I put myself in the chair and I become that person, and I understand that role, and I hear that voice. And so what we do is we align the voice of the process to the voice of the customer. Now, keep in mind that traditional Lean Six Sigma methodology has been used in corporate America. What the social change agents charge us to do is to take it a step level and work with community, not-for-profit, and faith-based initiatives to say, let's use these tools to help our own community and help the people that we're trying to serve. So this is non-traditional, but it's that reimagine a world that can think like that we can truly come together and think out the box and be creative and work with the people, because we believe in our people. We believe in our communities. We believe in the people that work with us in our companies. A lot of people just don't feel heard. When we come to the table, we listen.
Wow. Now, from a standpoint of a person who counsels people and those type of things, I know how important it is for people to feel heard. There are a lot of great ideas that are happening because when people are heard, I'm seeing a shift personally. I'm seeing a shift happen in our society, even with nonprofits, as you said. But but I'm seeing a shift happen because people are being heard. Earlier today, I sat on a panel where we awarded grants to local people, nonprofits. These grants wasn't super grants, but up to $5,000 for each person. They had over 91 people to apply. But what's so powerful about having the opportunity to review some of those grants? These was everyday people. These wasn't necessarily folks with a bunch of initials behind their name. But when I read these people ideas, when we read how connected they were to the ground, you could not help but to score these people high. So today was the awarding ceremony where these individuals are being told your proposal was accepted, it was approved. And some of the ideas was just blown, it was mind blowing to me. I'm like saying, man, why didn't I think of that? Man, who would think of that? But what was so rewarding about it? These people here, they was heard. This gave them opportunity to be heard. The process wasn't so intimidating. It wasn't so intimidating that they ran, but rather they saw possibility. And I think that's what's going to have to happen in this time of reimagining. We're going to have to see possibilities and not think in the world of impossibility.
Are there any business? Are there any business limitations to those individuals that you work with to enhance their businesses? Is there a certain niche? Is there a certain core group that you focus on through your corporations?
Oh no, I mean we've been in existence for a while. So I've trained and coached from corporate America, to small. I've even came in and ran, hosted church, facilitated church ministries, looking at new membership. Right, I've worked with little real estate companies, right, to huge global companies. So as a master black belt, I've worked in all kinds of industries. The new charge, the Reimagine charge, is brand new. The connection with the crypto blockchain, cryptocurrency, rebuilding the entire Wall Street, Black Wall Street, all that is completely new, and it's about just reimagining. I saw a city, a kingdom building city with people with a kingdom mindset. Believing in the impossible, thinking the supernatural. And I think we all saw supernatural. We've all witnessed that over the last few years. I think God has shown us who he is. He's shown the world who he is. And so thinking and tapping in on the things, those things that God created. And, the word says, God said, right? He will make room for our gifts. So tapping in on the people in which we know, the people that we have in our organizations, the people that we have in our church, tapping in on those gifts and letting the people fuel the channel and the method of the work in the community versus us coming up with our own traditional ideas and pushing it and wondering why there's no change. That's the call now. And I think that God is calling on those that feel most unqualified to do just that, to lead that effort and to reimagine. And just like that cell phone that wasn't there at one time and now it's there. I mean, I can think back to everything that I'm looking at today, Uber, Lyft, all these different things. I didn't sit in a room and thought about these 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I let people talk me out of it. People that still sitting at the same table I am today, right? So, it's kind of like there's no limitation on what you can do when you truly believe in it and you work hard to make it happen. And a lot of times it just takes one person to believe in you. And so, and that's what we're calling for. That we have this kingdom, this city where we're uplifting each other, we're collaborating together, we're tapping on those that feel unqualified and doing what God does every day, qualified.
Okay,
And
so
that's what
what
we're
I
trying to
want
do.
to, so if an individual comes to you or visits your website and wants to create a business, so you would strategize with them to find out what it is they want to do and implement benchmarks for them to start so that they can begin that business. And do you hold their hand through the process? So I'm trying to understand how this one, because you keep saying you're a black belt, a master black belt. So
Yeah.
explain that, explain the process.
Absolutely. So there's two businesses, right? So level set. Let's talk a little bit about Virtuosity first, right? So Virtuosity, what we do is we offer training and certification for those that's interested in getting their belt, whether it be, we have certain degrees
Okay.
of belt, and with each degree comes with a level of knowledge. So we do that and we certify. It's a lifetime certification that don't expire. We
Okay.
also offer, we work with you on projects. So you come and you say, I have a problem. I'm having a problem raising money. I'm having a problem making money. I'm struggling with my business. So that's when we'll work with you directly to help you solve your problem. That's Virtuosity. So
Okay.
Virtuosity is partnered with Blockchain. The founder of Blockchain is actually my son, Jordan Harold.
Okay.
But I'm also, I'm a CEO of the not-for-profit side of Blockchain Network, social
Okay.
change agents.
Okay, so good. I'm glad you're clarifying it because you kept bouncing between the two. So I need the
Yeah,
audience to be clear on where they should go starting up and where they should go if they're established but want to grow.
but want to grow. Exactly. So with the Blockchain Network, if you are an existing organization and you're willing to work with us on growing with use of cryptocurrency, we, through blockchain, because 10% of all of blockchain goes towards the community, blockchain will sponsor our social change agents, which is the ladies I've mentioned, and we're going to continue to grow, to go out and work with those organizations to help them solve problems, as long as it's related and fit up under the community service. Blockchain Network Social Change Agents is specifically focused on community service. Does that help?
Mhm. Okay. So you started the blockchain?
No, my son is founder of Blockchain.
Your son is the
I'm
founder of
founder
blockchain.
of Virtuosity, and I'm also founder of the not-for-profit for Blockchain. There's a social change
Okay.
agent network, which is a
Was
part.
Hill
If you go to the black
Harper
paper
talking about this at one time?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Because I know I've heard the
Cryptocurrency?
blockchain before, so I was
You
wondering
may
if
have
that
heard
was
me
one
talk
of the
about it a
things
little
that
bit.
he was talking about.
Yeah, you may have heard.
You
Yeah,
probably heard me talk
it's
about it. I
been
got so excited
spreading.
about
It's
it.
been spreading a lot in Florida. Blockchain we've been doing a lot. It's been a lot done in the community. We've been doing a lot here trying to make things happen. So, kudos
I
to the
became
blockchain
excited about
team
it.
out there.
Yeah, I think that's where you might have heard it,
Yeah.
Dr. Val. I became excited about it. I remember sharing with you. I was excited about the concept, but I was even more excited because of the fact how it had been thought out so thoroughly. And then to look at such a young man with that type of vision,
Yeah,
who had undoubtedly did all of his homework. This young man was dropping knowledge on us about Black Wall Street. I mean, I consider myself very versed. He was dropping knowledge, the concept, the strategy, and I'm literally saying to myself, does anybody else hear this? Because it is laid out in a way that after what we've seen in the last 2 years, 2021, there's a lot of emphasis on the whole Black Wall Street. In 2021, the whole thing about Juneteenth becoming an official holiday. So we've seen a lot of things happen over the last 18 months, if you would, that is pointing us back to our beginning, to wealth, to understanding, overcoming, and empowering. And one of the things that have caught my attention, and I heard Dr. Jordan say this earlier, she kept talking about the faith-based network in churches. And I know that sometimes that is scary for people to do something different.
Yes.
Because the moment we start talking about doing something different, they'll tell you God don't change. I'm not going to run off with this. But God doesn't change, but most definitely his methods do. We've seen his method change throughout time. And I think that what we're seeing now is an opportunity to move forward. I heard her say something to the fact of even simple things like how to increase church membership, how to increase participation. We're dealing with the situation now that, at least here in Palm Beach County, there are churches who have just now opened their doors the last Sunday in March. They've been down 2 years with their doors closed. Here's the number one problem they've had. Many of them lost everybody or nearly everybody during the time of virtual. Many people who had older congregation had no idea what to do because the fact the congregation was older and they was not necessarily technologically savvy. We are now living in a time where we are recognizing the fact that we don't hold God to just being this inbox entity, but one that is operating inside of your science. He's operating inside of your technology. He's operating inside of your money. He's operating inside of that. And I think that that's where we have to recognize in reimagining, there are things that are happening now that is blowing our minds, but we've got to be willing to have our mind blown, if you would.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Dr. Thicklin. There's a scripture in the Bible that came to mind when you was talking, the 1 Corinthians 2:90. What no eyes have seen, no ears have heard, right?
Yes.
No eyes, no heart can imagine what God can do for those that love the Lord. Nothing can. And I honestly feel that is where we are now. And you're right. I think when I think about the church, I think we learned during the pandemic that people grew closer and understood the value of having a relationship with God versus going behind the building. I mean, at home, from the comfort of their homes. And we had to accept the new norm. And I think that's where we talk about Reimagine and the church taking more an evangelistic approach and realizing that the community needs help. And we talk about what would Jesus do, right? If you're a Christian and you follow Christ, Jesus was a disciple. He was out there, talking to people. He was with the people. And I think we saw church without walls, right? So I think if we can reimagine even how we function, I think you and I talked before where God's word never changes, but his methods does. And we serve a generational God. And so, you kind of think about everything around us exists because he said it could exist. And so to leverage these things, even now we're on, we're streaming, we're live streaming. Who would ever imagined? So now church can go across the globe. And so if you start to reimagine how you can reach people, you've had more people touched globally via webcam, right? Via Zoom, and you start to kind of think through that. And then you think through what you can actually do. Now that things are opening up more, what can we actually do to work with the community? Which is why the social change agents is coming in, because we're going to sit down and say, okay, with the pastors and say, how can we look at this differently as disciples, as evangelists, as tapping into your membership and seeing what skill set you have and what can we do to deploy. What can we do to deploy, like they're doing right now over in Ukraine, right? What can
Right.
we do to deploy and represent the kingdom? What can we do when you see us, you see the light of God. We're not all behind the wall. And I think we're not stuck behind the walls anymore. And I think that's the reimagining and rethinking and reassessing. There's no more new normal because there is no normal.
Wow.
And
Okay,
I
so
honestly
with
believe that is.
blockchain, that's where you teach the process.
Yes, the blockchain
Okay.
not-for-profit social agents, the social agents is where we teach, and you'll learn about the blockchain social agents on the blockchain website. Now, let me tell you a little bit about blockchain. Now my son Jordan Harold, you have to have him on here because he knows all the technical stuff. He knows all about the cryptocurrency. He teaches it, tell you everything about it. He
Is
has a
that the
whole
main?
team here in Florida that's been.
So is blockchain
Yeah.
focused around cryptocurrency, or is it a part
Blockchain
of?
No, blockchain is all about. So let's tell you a little bit about it, right? It was based upon, as Dr. Thicklin mentioned, the Black Wall Street, right? How can we rebuild? So 10%, anybody can invest in blockchain. So you can, they're cryptocurrency coins. We're actually going through a pre-sale right now. So anybody can invest. And the more you use it as a form of exchange versus the US dollar, the more you use it, the more the value grows. So prime example, you buy a coin for 2 cents. Just throwing it out there. You buy 100 coins for 2 cents right now. The more it's used, the higher the value. One day that coin may be $1. And you have 100 coins, you just made $100, right? Without doing anything. So that's the whole concept behind blockchain, is controlling the value of the coin. Now, 10%, anybody can do that. We're going to crypto conferences, pushing the website out there. Anybody can participate. We're encouraging everyone to participate. But behind every cryptocurrency should be a solid cause. It should be based and founded upon something that people believe in. So 10% of blockchain, right? You put that dollar in, 10% of that will go towards helping impoverished communities of color, working with not-for-profits, faith-based initiatives, and churches. And that's where the Social Change Network not-for-profit is charged to go out fully funded by the 10% to help the different organizations.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how it's set up now. It's powerful. So if you want to know more about cryptocurrency, I ask you to please invite Jordan Harold. He's actually in Atlanta playing football right now, but I know he'll make the time.
Okay. So virtuosity is what? I'm trying to make sure it's clarity because it seems like we're bouncing between the two. So I want to keep it focused on business, focus on entrepreneurs, focus on, individuals finding their mental resolve to create wealth. Because if you don't have the mentality in place to be able to focus, because you have so much going on around you, you're not going to be able to generate generational wealth. So tell me about virtuosity and the process in that, and how individuals can tap into what you're doing so that they can grow.
Absolutely. I would love to. So Virtuosity, as shared, was started to help people across the globe in a virtual format. So let's say you're interested in setting up your business and you need somebody to help you strategize. You need somebody to help you problem solve. And I'm just talking completely independent of community service. I'm talking business in general. That's when we would work with you. We even have people on our teams that'll help you put together a business plan if you're interested in a business plan. And that was something we recently adopted. But we train you. We believe in showing our customers how to fish on their own. We don't do everything, but we bring you to the table. We meet with you. If everything has a process, we'll work with you on documenting your process and setting up your business. We'll work with you on understanding what your customer needs are. We work on strategy. We work on helping you understand who your customers are. And we help you through facilitation solve from complex to simple business problems. We also provide life coaching. So we use the same tools towards life coaching because it's all about problem solving. And again, we're facilitators of change. That's what we do. And then if you're interested in getting your certification, again, it is a highly recognized certification in the manufacturing, in the service, in industries all over the world. You can Google it, Lean Six Sigma. If you're interested in that, we actually offer training and certification.
That's awesome. So the website for that is www.Virtualocity, that's spelled VIRTUALOCITY 2.
Yeah, Virtualocity. Yeah, it should be Virtualocity LLC. Oh, please correct that. It should be Virtualocity LLC.
Okay.
Yeah, let's correct that. Virtual City. It's not
I
the
love
way,
it.
you can build a virtual.
We're getting there.
You can do that. That's gonna be next on the list.
Okay. Because that's why I said, are you saying this right, correctly?
No,
yeah, I want to be clear and precise. So I want to be clear and precise. So I need you to repeat that website so that we'll make sure that everything is posted correctly.
Okay. It's Virtualocity LLC.com.
Okay. Dr. J, I need you in the frame, please.
Oh, am I out?
No, Dr. J.
Oh, outside of the frame?
Oh, I'm Dr. J too.
So I was remembering, Les quote, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So I backed out. But one of the things that I thought was very important that you talked about having this vision years ago, virtually being able to connect everywhere, not knowing that it was going to be a pandemic that would force that to be the way of life.
Mm-hmm.
But Virtualocity also tears down barriers. Barriers. A lot of times people say, well, I can't get here. I can't go there. I can't afford to go here. I can't go and sit at this place, but they don't have to necessarily leave the comfort of their own place if they're receptive to the knowledge, the information, and from the information to the implementation of it.
Yes, it is. I mean, I'm able to stay more in contact with my family than never before. We know everybody's business, don't we? the virtual world has really allowed us to reimagine. Oh, wow, I'm getting a signal. Has really allowed us to reimagine the way we look at life in general. And yes, you are correct. I think it's time. I think I need to make a change. I'm getting a connection issue. And you're right. I believe that. Can you hear me? Yeah. I think I need to. Can I have 1 second, please? Can I have 1 second?
Yeah,
no, but I'm getting the connection. Yeah, 1 second, if you don't mind.
So when we start talking about changing things and we start talking about things evolving, trying different things, it's it can be exciting. It doesn't have to always be frightening. It can be exciting to think about the possibilities. There's a way of simplifying things, and sometimes simplifying things begin with being able to be heard, to be able to ask questions and then be able to implement that which you heard. I think one of the things that's exciting about the future, and we see it with young kids now, I don't know where we are now. We've gone through generation, X and Z's, and, we see it now with small kids. We see their ability to take things that was once complicated, and it's very simple to them now. I look at the fact, I remember I would buy my kids games for what it was, Nintendo and all those things back in the day. And I remember I used to have to read the instructions, read the instructions. This is what you do. But somewhere along the line, they didn't read the instruction. They got it, they stuck it in, they went to play. And I'm like, well, how did you do that? Because, I thought I was going to have to take a course. And we see that society is rapidly changing, acceleration.
Yeah.
And the thing that's been interesting to me is that as we go forward, there seems to be a younger generation that's not afraid. They're not afraid to try new things. They're not afraid to get out there and do so. And I'm afraid that I didn't think I would ever be part of this group, the transitional group, that we have to remain relevant in this day and time, or we will be experiencing the feeling of being left behind. And I think that in order to be really what I call transgenerational bridge makers, we have to be able to reimagine. We have to be able to see things differently. There's a place for tradition, and everything will become tradition at some point or another. But there's always a place for things to move on and to transist. And I believe that that's where we are now when we start talking about reimagining, because I do believe that this is that time to do so, to reimagine. Don't get stuck where you are. Some people have resolved themselves to simply existing. But I do believe that we're in a place now where we have to move forward. We have to move forward. We really don't have a choice. Either we move forward or we will be left behind.
I understand you said that different courses. Is it in a group that you do it, or do you do individual one-on-one trainings?
Yeah, I do it all. I trained different companies on group sessions, trained and certified. I actually have one-on-one coaching. I also offer evening classes for those that work during the day, Wednesday class for folks that want to get their green belt certification. So they can contact me for anything and we'll make it happen. And have a team of independent consultants and social change agents to help make it work. So yeah, please definitely reach out. And Dr. Thicklin, you're right. I honestly do feel where I go to like think about the social media, Snapchat, TikTok. It's so many creative young people out here, Instagram, the things that people have created is so creative and they're fearless. And I really haven't heard the voice of God as much as I have today through our young people. And it's amazing because they're at home doing this, right? They're understanding the value of having a relationship with God, and it didn't all come from the church. I'm just being frankly honest, right? It came from being at home on your knees, praying, needing, and knowing, and understanding the value of living. It's all the deaths that took place that we were all affected by. If we didn't learn anything, we should learn the value of living. Living the best life we know. That's all I can tell you. And so you got a generation of people that are fearless. You have a generation of people that believe anything is possible. And you know what? That's what our word says. And the kingdom, and it's something, because I got a book that's going to come out soon. Just wait till it come out. But it starts off with, imagine telling your child and raising your child to believe and understand what it means to be made in the image of God. What does that mean? That you're custom made, handcrafted, and you have a purpose, and you can do all things. And raising them to believe it, just like you do sending them to karate school, right? But you raise them on understanding and tapping into supernatural things, supernatural powers. and that you can fight in the world at the spiritual level. You can deal with what's going on by understanding life and death, by understanding that you can take a business and create it, and you start with a vision, and all you need to do is be creative to make it happen. And if you don't have a creator, bring a creator onto the team. Learn how to tap on people around you and build your circle. It's not about a table, because a table keeps you there. How do you open up? How do you fly together?
That's awesome, Dr. Jordan. I really like the fact that you're implementing, encouraging them emotionally to help their psychic to believe that anything is possible, because so many times they focus on their limitations and not the possibilities they possess. So I'm so glad that you're implementing that, because they don't have anyone in their ear, young or old. Young or old, it's not just young people, they're older people that have not been told that they have value, that they're worth it, that they're worth loving, that they have something that the world needs. So I'm so glad that you're in position through your company to enhance the lives of those that you come in contact with.
Absolutely. It's an everyday. It's an everyday. It's like you wake up every morning and feel this. It's called affirmation, right? It's called conversations with God. It's called conversations with your peers. It's called praying together. It's called coming together and believing together and encouraging and inspiring each other. That's what it's called. It's nothing Aleshia wake up with and walk around like it's no. It takes that. It takes that encouragement. It takes that love to encourage each other. And I need that build up every day. My friends will tell you, I call them sometimes. I need some encouragement. I need a prayer.
We all need it. Yes. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know where to start. And if Versalocity can help people start, then it'll be like riding a bike to them. And with you constantly feeding them mentally, they'll take on the nature of it being possible, so that they can walk it all the way out.
Yeah, it's about making up your mind. Well, it's really about making up your mind. A lot of us get tired, and there's times in my life I've gotten so tired I didn't want to get up out of bed. I'll be honest with you, especially with grief. I didn't want to get out of my bed until I tried to get up and fell to the ground because I couldn't walk. I had a herniated disc, had no idea why. Then I sat back and said, oh God, I need to walk. I need to live. When you start to appreciate walking, talking, breathing, we learn how to breathe, appreciate breathing, seeing, using your hands, and you learn to have express gratitude for just those things, and you make up your mind that you're gonna live. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Right.
If you have a dream, what's the worst thing that can happen by going after that dream?
Exactly.
Right? At least you tried. A failure is not trying. So we do. We work with you. We uplift each other. We're a circle, a family of love. And I can't say enough. We need each other, and that's what we encourage. We encourage love. Basic principles of the word. The word don't change. Virtuosity, blockchain, social network, blockchain is all just a new method mandated by God. But it's all about the word of God.
But it's interesting when I was listening to you and Dr. Val going back and forth. One thing that really resonated with me was this: how freely you talked about it, and you both were talking about that sense of encouragement, that sense of affirmation, that sense of believing. Notice what happened tonight. You're able to do it and make it sound so natural. I do believe that in many ways we lose the victory because we make things religious rather than relational. You got me? It becomes religious rather than relational. And so when you start talking about the fact of there's a belief that's inside of me, not because I'm religious, but because my relationship now is at a place where my faith believes that I can, because I've been willed it to do so. And so you think about it. most time people are defeated because they do look at their limitation. They don't believe that they're deserving of things. They don't believe that they can have. But when you can walk with a mindset where our conversation, our dialogue is always encouraging one another. Dr. Val, you and I are that way. Listen, we'll never be down because we're going to always encourage each other. We're going to always lift up. Conversation, language has a lot to do with where we're going.
Yes.
And if we keep rehearsing our limitation, that's what's going to grow. But
That's
when
what's
we
gonna
begin
grow.
to nurture our faith, and that's all it is faith. Our ability to believe the things that we can't even see. And everything that is
You can't
existing
even
once
see.
upon a time was something that we could not see. And so we have to continue to do so. And I believe that's what's happening with a lot of our young people today. And the reason why there's a problem, a disconnect with some, because they don't understand how these young people oftentimes are running with the principle. They're running with the principle of it, and they're making it happen. And we're getting mad because they didn't quite do it the way that we did it. We get mad because they didn't hold their ear and go, oh, loud. No. They are taking it, they are believing it, and they are implementing it. And that's what has to happen in this day and time, that we're going to have to take the boxes off our mind. We used to say, take the chain off your brain, John Henry, and we have to do that and reimagine.
We have to reimagine, and that's exactly it. I mean, we're at a time we have in Lean Six Sigma tool called 5 whys. Why? We always, when you're looking for root cause, when you're trying to solve a problem, it's why. We encourage folks to really, really keep it simple. That's what we do. We say keep it simple. And I think that we're living in a time where we need to keep it simple. And no, I think, and I'm not knocking anybody religion, but the religious rules and regulations, I'm gonna put those on freeze. I think now we need to talk about the principles of the word and
activating it.
Helping and inspiring and activating people to have a personal relationship with God. That's where we need to go. Because if you look at the word, God wants us to be successful. If you know your word, God wants you to be happy and successful. He wants you to think out the box. He said anything is possible. That's why we are living in the times today. So, the rules don't work anymore. It just don't work anymore. The word never changes. But people are forming a relationship with God and understanding the word for what it is, without all the limitations. Because with humans, there's limitations. With God, it's unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds like one of your books there, Dr. Val, Unlimited Possibilities. I believe that was
the name. Oh, you have a book like that, Dr. Val?
Yes, Unlimited Possibilities, Walking in Purpose.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
That's what it's all about.
You said something about, and I want people to hear this because I don't want those that say, oh my God, did you hear her say the rules doesn't work anymore? You're not saying they're not guardrails, but what we're saying is that too many people, even in their quote unquote religion, they adapted rules, but rules without relationship equals rebellion. And so people rebel because when things doesn't work, I followed all the rules, but what happened is that wasn't a relationship with what you were believing in. And so you check the box, I did this, I did that, and the other. But when there's relationship, like you just got through saying, and I think it's Chantel or Tiffany, one of them put in there is no fear in love. When you know that you're loved and you've been made to do these things here, look here, you can be bold, you can be courageous, you can you can dream the impossible dream because the fact there is no limit, there is no boundary. The reality is the fact I don't want to continue to cheat myself out of what has already been purposed for me to have. So now I look at the fact, listen, I know who I am. I'm not looking for no one else to tell me who I am. I'm not looking for social media to tell me who I am. I know who I am. So because when we do this thing, listen, it won't matter. I love likes, don't get me wrong. But there are going to be many people that don't like you. But it don't matter when you know who loves you. Absolutely. And when you know that he's giving you something incredible.
Amen. It's not for everybody, right?
Right.
But it's for those
Absolutely.
who it is for and who God has called to purpose to do it. And I think that's what you said, because it's already done. I think that in life, what's already done is waiting on us to get there.
Yeah.
God takes us through some things to get us to where we need to make up our mind. We're talking about a mindset, right? Once you make up your mind, God will put the right people in your life to make things happen. And that's the kind of encouragement and believing in the supernatural, that he's going to do what he said he's going to do. If God gives you a word, believe it. I don't care what it
Believe
looks
it.
like. I don't care what your bank account looks like. I don't care what you're driving. I don't care where you're living. If God gives you a word, walk in it. Walk as if it's
Ah,
done, and you will see supernatural, miraculous things happen around you. And
seems
that's
like
the
you read my
truth.
book.
That's why I
Sounds
keep
like you
referring
read
back
my
to
book,
it.
Dr. Jordan.
I've never read your book.
Dr. Jordan, the hour has gone so quickly. If you could leave some closing remarks and how individuals can connect with you, we'd be so grateful. And I want to thank you for joining us on Hot Topics from the Soul. So if you have any closing remarks, we'd like to hear them.
Thank you. I want to thank both of you. Dr. Valerie, it's been a pleasure meeting you and talking to you. And Dr. Thicklin, thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure. What I would leave you with is anything is possible. And I think that what we've called to do here with Virtuosity and blockchain.io is a game changer. So if you're interested in Lean Six Sigma and wanting to learn more about Lean Six Sigma, training, coaching, living your dream, you want to sit in a room and do a think tank, contact me. Go to virtuosityllc.com, contact me. If you are interested in investing in cryptocurrency, where the cause is helping impoverished and Black and Brown communities, and you want to help control value of a currency, where we can actually own our own currency and build our own kingdom, then I want you to go to blockchain.io. If you're a church or not-for-profit, I don't care what religion you are, if you're a not-for-profit, faith-based initiative, and you're interested in being one of our community service groups for social change agents, contact me at blockchain.io. I know there's a lot, but you can kind of see we've been real busy trying to make things happen, So let me know. If you sell life insurance, I'll do that too.
Dr. J, any closing remarks?
Well, I just want to say thanks again, Dr. Jordan, for being on with us. Your knowledge and the opportunities that you've offered has been absolutely tremendous. I'm excited. I do believe today that we've heard some things that empowers us, and we continue to move forward because we're able to reimagine. Let's not get stuck in where we are. Lift up our eyes so that we can reimagine the greater.
Well, thank you so much.
That's
This
right.
has been another Hot Topics from the Soul, and I want to invite you to subscribe to Hot Topics from the Soul on our YouTube and visit my website, www.fromthesoulofAwoman.com. There you will find unlimited possibilities walking in purpose, and visit Dr. J's website, jrthicklin.com. And remember, when you're in alignment with the assignment that God has for your life,
Amen.
the world will beg for what you have.
All
Good
right.
night and God bless.
Amen. I love it.